This time last year, when we were looking forward to 2020, many of us expressed some pretty big optimism about how awesome 2020 would be for electric vehicles. After all, with the Ford Mustang Mach-E unveiled just before the end of 2019, the Tesla Model Y due to hit the market, and automakers from Volkswagen to Aston Martin promising new models, well, frankly, we had no reason to expect anything different. But as the last 6 months have shown us, past versions of ourselves had no idea what was coming. Ask yourself from a year ago what a coronavirus was, and unless you were an epidemiologist or just super smart, I'm betting at least some of you would have thought it was some kind of new social media meme relating to drinking too much Mexican beer. Sadly, past us would be wrong, and we all now find ourselves in one of the scariest pandemics history has ever dealt with. And for many months, it's been responsible for not only dealing a major blow to economies around the world, some of which were already on the verge of recession, but causing millions to lose their jobs, hundreds of thousands of deaths, and everything from major sporting events to music concerts and my favourite fur convention getting cancelled. Don't worry, Pittsburgh, we'll be back. Alongside all those cancelled events, of course, are major auto shows, and many automakers rely on those to unveil new concept vehicles and to hold production vehicle launch events. And with so many major automakers forced to shutter their production facilities for weeks and sometimes even months, nearly every one of these new electric cars we've been waiting for got delayed in some way or another. Today, we heard details from two companies who have both been forced to push back production and reveal events. So today it felt like it was a good time to take another look at some of the cars that have been delayed because 2020, as well as give you details, if known, of what those delayed schedules actually look like. Let's start with the Lucid Air, a car that we were supposed to see get its production unveiling a few months ago. As you might know from our interview with Lucid CEO Peter Rawlinson in the last few weeks, much of Lucid's design and engineering teams have been able to continually work at home remotely for at least some of the corona-related lockdowns. But actually work on the production facility in Arizona where the Lucid Air is going to be built was halted for a short period, and essential on-road testing of pre-production prototype Lucid Airs was also delayed by COVID lockdowns. Lucid announced earlier today that the Lucid Air will get its production debut on September 9th at a special event, with series production due to start early next year. That's about 3 months later than planned before COVID came along. I should note, however, that Lucid's original production schedule was to begin making vehicles back in 2018, so there has been some movement there. Staying with small automotive startups, the next vehicle that we know is delayed by COVID is the Rivian R1T and R1S. Rivian, like so many other startups, has pushed the start of production back for its R1T pickup and R1S SUV. The reason is partly because of COVID-19 lockdowns, but it's also because Rivian has made a strategic decision to focus not on its own vehicles, but rather a commercial delivery vehicle it's building under contract for one of its investors, Amazon. Deeming that a higher priority at this time, Rivian is focusing on the Amazon truck before it gets the R1T off the production line, something which I'm guessing is now likely to happen next year. Interestingly too, a joint project between Ford's luxury brand Lincoln and Rivian, Ford is also a major shareholder in the company, was scrapped. Partly because of the pandemic, but also because Ford decided that Rivian's expertise would be better suited to other projects within the Ford family. A surprise delay came earlier today from Croatian firm Rimac. While its 1.4 megawatt Rimac C2 hypercar is out of the price range of most, if not all viewers to this channel, Rimac has confirmed today that it decided to push deliveries back until next year. With Croatia's lockdowns only just ending, the company needs extra time to finish all required homologation processes to ensure that those limited production $1 million plus cars are ready for its very elite customers. It's not just small companies being affected by the virus and its effects, though. Many major automakers are also struggling, with Ford confirming a few weeks ago that the launch of its Mustang Mach-E in Europe will be delayed by several months. At the time of filming this, however, Ford says the US launch should continue as planned later this year, but it's unclear if the company will be able to keep to that timeline, especially now as the rate of infection in many US states is on a dramatic rise. Half a world away in Germany, Volkswagen has now restarted the ID.3 production line, with plenty of vehicles now actually completed and awaiting delivery. Deliveries should have already begun, but the initial ID.3 first customers are now not due to get their cars until next month, at the absolute earliest. The reason? Not just coronavirus, but major blockers caused by massive software bugs in the ID.3's infotainment and telematics systems. Volkswagen has spent serious amounts of money during the COVID lockdown trying to fix things, but as of writing and filming this show, it appears many of the problems remain unresolved. Meanwhile, the Volkswagen ID.4, a car that is due to get its reveal later this year, is still reportedly on schedule. And a recent leak of an ID.4 wearing no camouflage, and no, we're not sharing here because automakers remember who shares such leaks, well, this all suggests that those reports are correct. Over in the US, General Motors, which has pushed back the much-needed mild refresh to the Chevrolet Bolt EV from this year to next, and I say much needed and mild because it's expected to keep the exterior and drivetrain as is, but significantly improve the interior and those seats, has also experienced some rescheduling because of COVID-19. While GM says it's on track to produce the Hummer EV and the Cadillac Lyriq EVs as originally planned, both real events for the same have been pushed back several months because of the virus. As with Ford, while GM says it's still on track, it is anyone's guess right now if the current situation in the US will ultimately result in a delay or not. Also supposedly delayed in launch events, but not in production, is the Lordstown Endurance, a vehicle we'll get to see for the first time next week via a live stream reveal. As a small automotive startup, we have no way to gauge how accurate Lordstown's aims are to hit planned production schedules, so I can't say much more here, only that maybe we'll find out more next week. As for other vehicles, well, right now we're not sure. BMW is reportedly in the final stages of preparation for the start of series production of the iX3 in China, and it also says its i4 program is continuing on schedule. Byton, meanwhile, has gone uncharacteristically quiet after a very well-publicised set of events earlier this year. But again, Byton's team say that, despite a recent furlough of almost half of its staff, it's still on schedule. Tesla's not officially made any COVID-related delays, with a Cybertruck and Semi expected next year at the earliest, based on both the Q1 earnings report and Elon Musk's appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience early in May. As to Elon Musk's recent message to employees to start producing the Semi, well, that's likely a rallying call to get a production facility tooled and ready to carry out final Semi tweaks over the next 6 months of this year, which would mean they could start volume production early next. Volvo's luxury brand Polestar, while delayed in its planned retail locations, is already under production with the Polestar 2 at its Chinese production facility. Meanwhile, the Volvo XC40 Recharge, which frankly shares much of the Polestar 2's underpinnings, also appears to be pretty close to its original launch schedule. Other delays we should look at this year include the Kia Soul EV, the US launch of which was delayed prior to the start of this year by Kia, citing battery issues. It's now expected to launch as a 2021 model year car, nearly 2 full years after it launched in some other markets, but that's not a COVID-related delay. Neither is the US market launch for the Mercedes-Benz EQC, a car which, like the Kia Soul EV, was delayed prior to COVID, supposedly for the same reason: high market demand in other countries and limited battery availability. You'll notice few European automakers seem to be hit as badly as American ones when it comes to delays for EVs caused by COVID, and that's partly down to the way in which COVID was handled in Europe, but also because of the pressure that automakers are under in Europe to produce significant numbers of electric vehicles to satisfy zero-emission requirements, things that they are under less pressure to satisfy in the US. So to my knowledge, very few automakers in Europe have significantly delayed, with Volkswagen being the only major one I can think of, although as I've said, that's due to other issues, not just COVID. Although if I am wrong about that, other than the ones I've already mentioned, please let me know in the comments below. Given how quickly things are changing around the world, I frankly can't promise this video will be accurate in a few days, weeks or months in terms of who's postponed launches and who hasn't. But as usual, we will do our best to keep you appraised as and when changes to current launch schedules are made. That's it. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.